Hey UConn Nation, it's KK Arnold here. If you're looking for the latest UConn women's basketball content, go subscribe to Listen Up to Phil and Ryan. Go Huskies!
Phil and Rye on Listen Up, and Rye, shout out to the Listen Up crew for the new look. Finally, a wider, brighter look. It doesn't look like we're stuck in a box anymore. It's Phil and Rye, and Rye, I appreciate you joining me a lot on this Wednesday. First episode, first video of July. So go figure, Rye. Time flying like always. Hey, I wanted to touch on this topic, see what you all think. Like, comment, and subscribe. Rye, breaking news to you like always. The sub count is going up, the likes are going up, and the views are going up. We appreciate you all a lot. We thank you all. We love you all. Rye, your take on this one. Our old friend Aaliyah Edwards, the Mystics, are working to try to trade Edwards. Now, I just want to make sure this is rumors, right? Rye, you wanted to make sure I said that and make sure everybody is aware this is straight up rumors, nothing official. She's still a Washington Mystic. Who do you think picks her up? I think she is very worthy of being on a WNBA roster. Hopefully she stays in Washington. I love Aaliyah Edwards, right? I like Aaliyah Edwards a lot. I know you do too. But at the same time, what's your take on this? I know you mentioned to me, though, it's interesting because, hey, face it, you want to face the facts. Now, this is not a fact, it's Rye's opinion. But Rye, it's funny because I called you up before any of this news broke the other day, right? I called you up and you said, well, Phil, she's off to a little bit of a slower start than what I thought she'd be.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I'm gonna dive into it a little bit, but I definitely
Mm.
think that's one of the reasons why Aaliyah Edwards could get traded is just because her production is down just a little bit. But yeah, I kind of like you mentioned, I'm not really surprised by this news because we also have to understand with any sport, it's a business. So at the end of the day, if there's a team interested in Edwards, Washington's going to try to capitalize on that and try to get some future draft picks. And according to multiple reports that multiple teams have reached out to the Mystics about acquiring Edwards before the August 7th trade deadline. So there's still about a month and a couple of days to work the trade out or see if Washington does actually want to trade Aaliyah Edwards away. But like I mentioned, I think part of the reason for a possible trade is that Washington may be ready to move on and want to move in a different direction. Edwards was, of course, the sixth overall pick in 2024. I'm sure a lot of us all remember that. That was a very special night. She started half the games for the Mystics in her rookie season, put up decent stats for a rookie. However, this year her production and minutes have definitely fallen off or gone down significantly. So I think one reason for a trade would be the lack of breakout performances and drop off in production. Now, Washington has dealt with some injuries over the past couple years, including Edwards herself, who missed the first four games of this season. But despite that, rookies Kiki Irifin and Sonia Citron have been breaking out so far this year, and it's a big reason why Washington has passed their expectations for this season. And along with Irifin in the front court, there's Shakira Alston and Stephanie Dolson. So that would be another reason for me because the Mystics really hit big in the draft. They have depth at the forward position, and maybe they are ready to move on from Edwards and acquire more draft picks for the future. So, I think teams like my Dallas Wings could possibly be looking for a trade. Indiana Fever, I think, could use the depth and the Minnesota Link as well. So maybe a possible Paige Becker's reunion in Dallas, and or maybe Aaliyah Edwards goes to pair up with Nafisa Collier or and Dorka Juhas in Minnesota.
So we all know what Aaliyah Edwards is capable of. She's a very good basketball player, Rye. We covered her for years in UConn. But again, I like to point out Bullets Forever. According to this article that was just released today, July 2nd, shout out to, I know you and I saw him up north when we traveled to UConn. Shout out to Kareem Copeland of the Washington Post, Rye. It's according to this, he asked Mystics head coach Sidney Johnson about the report yesterday at practice. Johnson said that he also just learned about it and was not aware of any discussions regarding Edwards' future. So I have to ask you very quickly, though, with that said, Do you think, Rod, that this comes down to kind of like a baseball trade deadline? Because as you know, according to this, what is it? August the 7th, right? I'm looking
Yeah.
at yes. Perhaps by the deadline on August 7th. So looks like the trade deadline August 7th for the WNBA. I have to ask you, does this come down to Aaliyah Edwards' slow start? Does it come down to her going on one of them lower half teams in the league, or do you see one of them, playoff championship caliber teams picking her up?
Yeah, I think it could definitely be, somebody chasing a championship like the Minnesota Lynx and
Hmm.
just have a Aaliyah there for depth and can really use her down towards the end of the regular or the second half of the regular season and towards the playoffs. Or, maybe a young team, like I mentioned, like the Dallas Wings, who or looking to stay, fairly young as a team and hoping to develop Aaliyah Edwards a little bit more. But yeah, I think, Washington might be looking to move on and acquire a draft picks for the future because, like I said, Kiki Irefin has been putting up really solid numbers so far in her rookie year. So I think for Washington, maybe they're looking to move on and see if they can acquire some assets and draft picks for Aaliyah Edwards while she is so young and just now in her second season.
Here we go. Comment time. Rye, your favorite part of the show. This comes from top takeaways from UConn Huskies press conference. Just me said, excellent update, Phil and Rye. Thank you. Now I need to go find that press conference video.
Yeah, it was a good one from CT Insider. Of course, we get a lot of articles from them and from Maggie Vanoni as well. So they do great covering the Yukon Huskies, and we definitely appreciate them for all the news and articles that they bring out. And I believe this week is the last week of summer workouts. So unfortunately, that is coming to an end. But we definitely covered that a lot throughout the summer here and got a lot of great news and positive updates throughout the summer workouts.
Jason D'Amico, thanks, brother, for coming through. He said, I don't have a crystal ball, but I foresee some tough practices ahead for these ladies. Will Gino find a leader to help keep the competition civil? Is that easy? We shall see. Peace.
Yeah, I think the easiest answer is probably AZ Fudd because she is in her fifth season, the most experienced on the team, one of the most experienced on the team. So I think it is time to step into that role for her, and now especially now that Paige Beckers is gone. But I also think there can be multiple leaders on the team. It doesn't always just have to come down to AZ Fudd leading the team. Perhaps when she's not on the court, we talked about KK Arnold. She developed that role a little bit more last year, but still is working throughout this offseason to become more of a vocal leader out on the court. So I think it could be KK Arnold as well. Perhaps Caroline Ducharme when she starts playing a little bit more. But I think it can be multiple players out there, growing into more of a leadership kind of role on the team.
How about one more, Rye, as we gear up for this July 4th weekend? BRN Soldier. Hey, Phil and Rye. With these summer workouts, I hope they're focusing on playing to each other's strengths and identifying the weaknesses within the team. Go Huskies.
Yeah, it's a good point. I'm sure they are. I think it's a kind of a critical moment of the season because I think for UConn and Gino, I think they really do focus in on this kind of early in the season start for summer workouts, and I'm not sure a lot of other teams might not take it as serious as UConn, but I think especially this coaching staff realizes throughout so many years that they've done this together how important these workouts are and how important they are for the team to kind of set the tone already for the new season and get everybody a head start and kind of quick started towards the regular season and just to make sure everybody is on the same page, work out a couple kinks and get everybody conditioned and ready to go for the new season.
Rye, the great John F. Kennedy. He said, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Rye, enjoy the hot dogs. I know, talk about sports just very quickly. I had to say this. We can't go off this podcast this evening without talking about this very quickly. People ask me, what do you look forward to the most? Yeah, cookouts with the family, July 4th weekend, fireworks, obviously. There's one thing, with you and I such heavy into sports, that Nathan's hot dog eating contest. Boy, oh boy, how did they do it?
Yeah, yeah, that's I always tune into that. It's definitely something to watch them go through all those hot dogs and buns. I'll never understand how both the men and women are able to do that, but it's definitely something to watch for sure.
Something different. Comment below and tell us how many hot dogs that you all could get down. And what is it, Ryan? Like 10 minutes? How many could you get down, Ryan? 10 minutes.
Yes. I don't maybe 10, maybe one per minute. That still might be reaching a little bit, honestly.
Go enjoy it. And most importantly, a message to you and everybody else, be safe. Phil and Rye on Listen Up.